Seems better.
Yeah, I'm not seeing initializing anymore. It looks like it's recording as well. So hopefully this is working and we can see a few people coming in now.
Looks like we got a couple people in the chat. So let us know in the chat if you can hear us and see us. I know we had a couple technical issues. We restarted the stream. It looks like everything's showing. So I'm seeing recording. I'm seeing live. I'm not seeing initializing. I can see and hear you. All right, Celeste, thank you very much. Very good.
So as we were saying, in silent or in the darkness, in the silent room, I was just saying that I actually shouldn't be here today. I'm an imposter, an imposter in the 321 call. So I'm going to be really, really short and sweet here in terms of why I am here and let you guys jump on with it. Inside the chat box for everybody, do you remember I was talking a couple of weeks ago and the stream was called like the X Factor? Just let me know with a yes, right? And it was not me doing karaoke or me having any like a sing song or something like that. I made sure to not subject you to that horror. But it seems like a few people are actually saying yes, right? And then don't put it into the chat box, but you remember that I give you a code, right? Just type in C for Charlie, right? If you remember me giving you a code on that particular stream, right? And we kind of hid it. We took it off the screen. There you go. Dana actually said that ahead of me. She said, you give us a code to accept the challenge. Right. Okay. Great. Now, inside the chat box, I'm getting a lot of engagement going for you guys here already. So inside the chat box, let me know, right, what the suffix is of the links that we always give you, right? So whenever we're sharing like a PDF, sorry, not the suffix, the prefix, right? The prefix of the link that we always give you, right? It's like a shortened link, right? Which comes with a suffix then of all the different types, right? So we change the suffix all the time, but there's a prefix that is exactly the same all the time. It's something dot something, right? You know, like a URL, right? Let me know inside the chat box what that is, all right? This is the challenging part. This should be easy.
I'm interested to see what they come back with.
Yeah, it's gonna be good fun. So it's like a domain name that we always show. There we go, right? So that's very close. There we go, right? So Sue has put it in there, right? So all you guys can see that, right? What I want you to do is, and don't do it right now, right? Because the guys have got a special guest on. But take that prefix, put a slash beside it, so the normal way, slash, and then put in your code, right? So the prefix that you've got with the slash that we normally have, then put in your code, right? That will take you to a special place, the land of milk and honey, right? As the wise Brian Clough once said, right? That will take you to where we can all start off, right? So you'll need the code to make it a full URL. That's it from me. Does everybody understand that? Just give me a 1 inside the chat box.
Okay, I have a question.
What I'm talking about. Esso, you've got a question.
Unbelievable. I've got a question. What if you didn't have a code?
Then you're going to have to go and find it.
Okay.
Because the whole idea was that you had to watch the first stream, right? Doing the land of milk and honey is only for people who understand what the milk and honey are all about.
Got it.
So you need to have seen that stream instead of just accepting things and just turning up to the next part. Right? It'd be like trying to watch the second part of Star Wars, which I saw the first part of Star Wars last night. Trying to watch the second part of it before you would watch the first part, or having not watched the first part, you're going to go, who is Luke Skywalker? Why is Darth Vader his father? I have no idea what he's talking about. Right? So, yeah. Does that answer it, dude? Or
it does. So one other thing for the people that are, because we're going to replay this, people are going to check it out on a replay too. Is there a stream we can point them to or is the stream also something they have the secret?
No, the original stream, go and just search circle for X Factor. X space Factor. Right? Don't spell space, use the space bar. X space bar Factor. FACTOR, in case nobody can understand my English. I've given you all the tips and tricks and everything else that you would possibly need. I'm going to leave you two guys to it. I have hijacked your call long enough. I've caused technical issues. I'm away.
Thank you, Robert.
See you later.
All right, Ollie. So it looks like we've got a lot of stuff going on today. We've already handled some tech issues. We got those out of the way. What we can do now is we can maybe just get into our regular intro a little bit, which is, Ollie, how are you doing today? It's good to see you.
Yeah, really good. Thanks. Really good. I can see that we've got some great engagement at the start of this stream, and we also have Gatry in the background. Let's invite Gatry onto the screen.
There you go. So excited about today.
Hello.
Hello. How are you, Gatry? How's it going today?
Doing great. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the call.
My pleasure. And
a short insight. My correct pronunciation of my name is Gayatri. But it was a tongue twister for Robert.
Oh, awesome.
So after all this time, now you're telling us.
My Elias.
You're going to have to help me with that.
I
apologize.
So.
My accent, is so strong. It's just going to be a challenge.
So, Gayatri, would you like to just tell everybody just a little bit about yourself and just where you are and kind of how long have you been doing private label for? I know that we've met a few times on a number of events, and also you'll be joining us in one of the events in the near future as well. So, if you want to just let everybody know just a little bit about yourself, and I'll leave the floor for you.
I bought a course more than a couple of years ago, and I've been distracted by a lot of businesses like crypto and other kind of stuff, and I bought into those. And since our event at it's pronounced Varmada Escape event, I've been more focused on the private label business, and I want to keep going forward with that. During the daytime, I work as a DevOps engineer. I have 2 children, time anime, and a bunch of cats. So that's a small introduction.
So just let me get in there. Let me get into a couple of these things because I know we're all friends. So what's a bunch of cats? What's the number?
A lot. So I always keep my door open and kick them outside, but they keep coming back. So I can't get rid of them.
Well, I know someone that is, completely infatuated with cats. So she'll definitely be taking notes in that particular area. And how old are your children?
My son is 16 years old and my daughter is 13.
Wow. They're I'm sure that happens for a lot of busyness. Your wife is quite busy in that area with those two, no?
My wife of my life.
Your life.
My life.
Yeah. That's a busy area because I know for my son, like there was this period of time when he was, I was just shuffling him from place to place all day. His life is busier than anybody I knew, and I was constantly busy. But in the States here, they can start driving around 16. So he started driving, and now I never see him again. So super busy. And then nothing.
My kids game a lot during the day after school.
A lot of gaming. Gotcha.
A lot of gaming, yeah.
So they're behaving in the background with the gaming.
So not to curse on the call.
There we go. All right. That's great.
And
well, thank you for that.
And I have luckily more SKUs than cats now.
It's great.
Yeah, I can see that Robert's mentioned. The measure of a business is, do you have more SKUs than cats? Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. And he's also mentioned that we shouldn't be referring to the Netherlands as Holland, and it should be the Netherlands. And that's where you're from, Gayatri, right? You're from.
Yeah, I'm from the Netherlands. Yeah.
You're kind of a little bit outside of Rotterdam, is that right?
Yeah, in a small town near Rotterdam.
Yeah. So we have 2 partners in the Netherlands. I know that we have
3.
3? Oh yeah, we have 3. Yeah. So yeah, who knows? We might want to do an event in the Netherlands. I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, let's get to it. Gayatri, you have 3 questions. This is the 1, 2, 3 call. You have 3 questions. There's 2 hosts and 1 of you, and you've got 3 questions. So do you want to start off with your first one? Go easy on us.
Even kijken. My first question. I've been looking into my waivers report, and I have a few red lines. And one is because I have a product that is critical now. And I do have a plan, and I've been calculating the operational margin. And it only sells, I can only get rid of it if it's at a loss, if my OM is negative. And my question is, what would be another way to get rid of this item? And and also for you guys, did you also have critical inventory, and what did you guys do to get rid of those?
I don't mind jumping in on this to begin. Start out this a little bit. I think with that particular product that you're talking about, where is the product? Is it in 3PL? Is it all on Amazon?
It's all Amazon.
It's
the
so
US.
100% of the inventory is in Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's the sessions.
It's low now. If I don't do aggressive PPC or low sales price, it's get a lot low sessions.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of competition.
And how long has it been in 100% of that? How many days has it been in Amazon? Do you know that?
I have the product for almost a year. And the last few SKUs, about 100 SKUs, are now in Amazon for about 3 months.
Okay, so it's below 181 days. So it's the 0 to 90, 90 to 101, 81. Mm-hmm. So it's below that. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, and what you're saying, are you trying to exit from this product?
Yeah.
Because the reason I'm asking that is I do like to make the distinction about critical inventory, the difference between a product and its inventory. Sometimes we do go forward with the product, but we have to move off that inventory because of cost. So is this a product that you're going to just exit from completely?
Yeah.
Or
I will exit from it.
Okay. So then one of the things that, I mean, there's multiple different answers to this question. So I'm just going to go with a couple different things. You know, my absolute love for PPC. I'm going to go with an aggressive price strategy. Okay. And what that means for me is because you're going to go, when I say aggressive, I'm thinking cost, right? If you go to cost with that product to move off of it, so you don't incur any more storage inside Amazon or any more cost anywhere else. If you go to cost, if you've done the math for that, so this is spreadsheet stuff. You pull out a spreadsheet. How much could you make back? If you go to cost, is that going to put you in a strong position for pricing? Do you know that answer?
If I've looked at the price and all those formulas to get to your OM, the price I could sell it leads to a negative OM.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if I'm paying Amazon to get rid of the product.
Okay. So there's a couple things that we can do. I mean, sometimes it's a matter of trying to shock a listing back into existence, right? So are you willing to take a hit on the first 10, 20 units to get your sessions going? So because it doesn't have to be a one and done answer. Could you go below cost, below your operational margin for 10 or 15 of those units to get that thing moving?
That's possible, yeah.
And then eke up that price back up to just above cost, so you're break even. Because in this particular case, I think you're trying to move off of it. You want to break even, lose as limited as much.
And then it would be something like this, to get,
For me,
up the price, the sessions will go down again. Then I will have to lower the price,
So I think it's because here's the thing: if you were just to say, okay, I'm going to liquidate that product right now, you're going to get pennies, right? So
it's 5% if you liquidate to Amazon.
Right. So you're not going to get so if you start to drop your price, get to cost and below, you're still making more than pennies then, right? And if you're looking at, you have a finite amount of product and you have a timeline that you need to do this in. So if you have product between 60 days, you have 120 you have to move on this before you start to incur additional charges inside Amazon, which you want to completely avoid. So the answer, I'm going to take this one step further, which is, yes, I've had critical inventory. As a matter of fact, a lot of the critical inventory conversations we've had in private label people were me having a meltdown walking out of Robert's office, realizing that I had several SKUs that had gone critical and starting to realize what the next direction was. And so it was multiple different strategies, multiple different stages of those strategies, and having to have I think the biggest part of it was having a paradigm shift inside my mind, which is the profit is gone. I need a different strategy because it's not working. And then I have to factor in, what is it that I'm looking to do the most on this? If I'm looking to move off of it, if I'm looking to just downsize my inventory, and then what sacrifices am I willing to make on this cost-wise, and for how long, and kind of factor those into that conversation. That's why I say it's not a one straightforward answer, but I think it's taking a cumulative all the things that you can and factor into it, and limiting the loss. There's, of course, there's going to be some loss here. There's going to be a cost to getting rid of it, but let's take some of that, then we would say bad money, move it into good money as much as we can, and then make that back quickly with, a fresh product that's going in the right direction, or a reorder on something that one of your priority products. I don't know if that gives you all the answers you need.
Yeah, but if your product stays longer than 180 days at Amazon, the storage is be more massive, the storage cost from Amazon?
It starts to increase unreasonably, especially in a product that you have a 0 OM, right?
Oh, yeah.
So my theory would be, I would start a clock on my calendar. I'd put 120 days, and I would start to, if you're great with PPC, and I know Robert would go a different direction, he would probably go two strategies. He'd build a very creative, strong PPC campaign that's very pointed, along with an aggressive price strategy, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to move off those products, because at 181 days, you're probably going to want to liquidate those units. And if you're going to do that, then you're at 5%. So you have 95% or 94%, right, room. Would you rather have 70% or 5%? I would rather have 70%.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a business decision the same way any company would. If it was Apple and they go to their 15s, they go to the 16, they're going to move down on those, even though it was cost millions of dollars, they're going to try to go 70%, 50%, right? Make as much money back as they can. And so that's what I mean about that paradigm shift.
Yeah.
So hopefully that gives you a little bit on my side. Now, yeah. Ollie is the subject matter expert when it comes to a lot of this stuff, when it comes to performance of a product, right? But those are high, taking a good product, taking it to great. So I'm sure that Ollie can chime in on some of this too. I'm sure he's had a critical inventory product.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I think Esther covered the majority, which is great. And well, first off, I want to say congratulations on establishing this, because we've worked with people over the years who have had critical inventory, and they've even gone to reorder critical inventory because they didn't know that it was critical at the time. So definite pat on the back for having an understanding of your business and your SKUs and what's actually going on. So that's great. it's completely normal, and I feel that it's impossible to kind of sugarcoat the fact that critical inventory is an integral part to any private label business. There's always going to be a percentage of SKUs that are not going to perform as well as other ones. Our goal is to minimize that as much as possible, and to, in this case, we want to turn bad money into good money, which Esso had some great tips on. One thing I do want to ask is, so the main issue would be sessions in this instance. What kind of USP do you have, or is the sales very infrequent that you don't have a USP or a baseline?
I have to look it up, but I have 1 unit sold last month.
Because one thing that in terms of what Esso was talking about, where we're trying to kind of drive those sessions via PPC or lowering the offering just to kind of kickstart that, because what we're looking for is an element of a USP or a baseline USP to allow for the algorithm to kind of jumpstart. So we wouldn't ideally want to be in a situation where we're selling at a loss continuously. While that would be a better situation than keeping your prices where they are and having to just liquidate at a later date, we do want to jumpstart that engine if possible. And there have been cases in the past where we had critical inventory and we were able to jumpstart it, and it's a product that we actually went on to reorder as well. So never rule out anything else in the future as well. One thing
does Amazon also provide some guidelines of some things what to do if you look at your FBA inventory and they say you can do an outlet deal? Would that help, or is the price sometimes too low?
I haven't looked at outlet deals. I have looked at, is that similar to like a coupon or?
No, they just.
I think it has a little bit to do with liquidation.
Yeah, but it's a very low price, yeah.
Right.
And I think it's another store for outlet where people can find those deals.
Yeah, I think it's important, and Ollie brought up some really great some points, and I think that's why I think making the distinction of, am I going forward with this product? Yes or no, right? We have to make those decisions sometimes. And if it happens to be, in this case, a product that you're not going forward because the market doesn't, market's changed, whatever the case is, right? There's always a number of factors. It's never just one. But if we've gotten past it and we've done that work, and that's kind of what I was thinking about when Ollie was talking too, is we always want to make sure that anybody that's listening to this stream or watching in today, I know everybody's going to be checking in and looking into this part because everybody's experienced a critical product. The answer is not one size fits all for every person or every product. Every situation is really unique, and you have to look at it that way. And so what the idea for me is adding some real speed, right? Because adding speed in this particular case is going to also cut down on your loss. Yeah. And so if you've decided that you're walking off this product, then you have a timeline to meet. And for me, it's kind of like force myself to do it by putting it on the calendar and saying, by this day, I have to be down to my inventory, at a certain point. Now, if you've rejuvenated that listing enough for sessions to come up and increase your sessions percentage, and you're able to pull some money out of that, then we start the risk of, oh, this is starting to sell pretty good. What do I, but that's a different conversation. Don't combine those two. Those are different things.
And I think just because every product is different, every SKU is quite different. Every SKU got a different type of history, different optimization list. If you want to just make some notes, how much time did you have left until that critical inventory goes into a higher storage bracket?
I have to look it up.
But there's no issues. I think in the meantime, we can talk after the stream as well. If you just want to make a list of any optimizations you've done in the past, if you can, like an estimate of the date as well. And we could just talk about the product as well, because, I've seen things turn around in the past. It might not happen on the first optimization or the first tweak. If lowering the price or liquidating the stock is kind of like the last resort, I do want to explore a number of different avenues if we do have enough time as well. So we'll work together on that, just so I can get a bit more of the background of the product in in more detail, and then we can try a bunch of stuff.
I will collect the information. Yeah.
Perfect.
That's great. And before we go on to your next question, that was a great question. I just want to make, go to the chat and see, is this question helping everybody today that's live with us? In the chat, just give us a Y for yes. If you if Gayatri's question resonated with you, if this is something that you've experienced and something that's helpful for today. So just give us a Y or a yes. There we go. Celeste is in there. We don't have much of a lag today. I think we're doing very good. I'm good for the next one, maybe. The next question.
Yeah, I got a PPC question. It's an easy one, I guess. I've been doing also...
we just ran away for a second.
It's an easy one. I've also been the listing for... competitive products, and I'm also looking at products sold by Amazon. Is it wise to put your products on those listings, or just keep sold by Amazon away? Maybe it have something in the algorithm.
Just to clarify, are you talking about a new
the
product?
Competitive, yeah. If you do PPC and looking at your competitors and make PPC out of it.
In terms of creating the terms that you want to put into.
No, you can. It's product targeting.
Product targeting. Okay, yeah.
Target your competitors, but the product is sold by Amazon.
Yeah, I wouldn't see any issues with that whatsoever. You definitely want to check in, just as you would if it was any other product or any other ASIN that you're targeting, regardless if it's Amazon or not. I wouldn't shy away from it for any reason. If people are on a certain product, and especially if we're doing some of the newer techniques with looking at products related to our target, then absolutely, people that are in there, they're going onto a listing, regardless if it's Amazon or a third-party seller, and they're finding your product, clicking into it and purchasing.
It's not a people, but maybe just Amazon is doing some kind of algorithm and blocking you. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, from Amazon's perspective, they want a sale regardless if it's sold by Amazon or anyone else. So I wouldn't shy away from it whatsoever, but definitely keep an eye on how it's performing. If you're getting too many clicks and not enough conversion on that, but just like any other term, I'd say. But Esso, our resident PPC expert, would you like to pepper anything in?
It's funny because I would definitely say make sure you're tracking what you're doing. That's such an important part that people don't do enough of. Very detailed tracking about what moves you've made and what you haven't. The other thing too is you have to be very decisive. And so if something, the whole runaway thing, people overspend all the time because they got a sale off of something, but they lose 10 times more than they gain. And in those cases, you have to make decisions and you have to do it. So I would say be decisive and be very specific in your detailed what you've done so far, because those pieces, for me, even in the case with PPC, I'm not always the most talented when it comes to a specific detail, but where I win is by structure and by process. Because if you take better notes, it doesn't matter if you're great at PPC if you're not taking notes, right? It doesn't matter if you great PPC but you can't be decisive, then all it means is you're losing money. You know what I mean? So you have to be decisive on those things, and so I would say that those pieces are big for me. Hopefully that answers your questions.
Yeah.
Okay. No more PPC. No, I was kidding.
No. Question 3?
Yep, ready for 3 if you got it.
It's about external expenses. Let me see. Spending money on travel or travel. how can you justify it if you can't give yourself a salary? If you spend more, then you're making a profit, or how do we go about it? Before the taxman starts complaining that you spend more than you're getting in.
So I'm assuming, I think I know in the U.S. we're a bit more liberal for way things are for business. We can put more stuff into the business. We can now, not a tax person, not an accountant or any of that kind of stuff, but I do think that that there's multiple ways to be creative in this area. But I really think that this is one of those things. You know, Robert and I just did a 3-part streams on speed and revenue. You know, we talked about tasks inside your business before this at the event. We talked about sometimes I did a stream of elephants and pillars, which we took out of the event back in July. And what we were trying to talk about specifically was, you know, if you have one pillar, one product holding up your entire business, the business structure is not going to be sound. You have to continue to add. Some of these pillars, not just once you get in products, you start to add countries. The idea really here is early days in a business. There's going to be a lot of cost, right? And you need to have products to absorb that cost. The more products that you have, the easier it is for you to absorb that cost. And I guess the question then becomes, for travel or for trips or for whatever it is that you're looking to do, what is it that you're going to gain from that? Because if you're going to gain a launching, you know, a place to launch several more products, or the energy or the desire to do so, right? If that's going to take you to the next stage of your business, then I would say that it's worth doing it, you know, because even when I worked in corporate America, every year the businesses would have either 1 or 2 in-person meetings a year. They did this because they knew that it motivated their staff. So they would bring all of the people in, hundreds of people in. And they did that on purpose all the time because they knew that it would motivate the staff. And they would go back with this new energy, this newfound drive, and they would push themselves harder than they had. And it would ultimately affect the increase in sales. You, as the CEO, as the owner, as the accountant and the merchandise expert and the research, and as you have to make those decisions for yourself. So is it a direct line, a direct straight answer? It's not. I would say it's not that easy, because it's like, what could I get from this? What do I get from it? And I think if you look back at some of your history and some of the time that you spent live with us at one point or another, has it motivated you and directed your business? You know, you mentioned even us meeting us back in Fermanagh.
Yeah.
You focused in on private labels, so you were able to leave some of the distractions back. So I think, was that worth it? Had you not done that, where would you be today? So I don't know that we can measure it exactly, but I do think that those are the reasons for it when it comes to the one side of things. And I think the other side of it is, there is a period inside your business that is, you haven't quite got there, but you're not ready. You know what I mean? You kind of have to get over that hump. You have to get over that line. And if you're on the cusp of that, energy, motivation, speed, excitement, all those things are going to help you push that forward. Because for me, anytime, if I think about, when we're in Florida, my parents live in Florida, we can see the rockets launch from SpaceX. Okay. The energy that it takes to launch something is significantly more than it takes to keep something going. And I think about that with our business, right? It takes a lot of energy to launch something. And just think about your first product and the first 2 products and 3 products. But once you start to go, it does get easier. So that energy that you put into it initially, continues to build down the road. So I would say keep pushing and keep going, and whatever's best for you. Don't make poor decisions, but if you need to talk about it, this is a great place to talk about it. It's a great question. So hopefully my answer helps you out a little bit. And I'm sure Ali has something he can add to this too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like that the rocket analogy, because that was something that was going through my head as well. It's like any company, whether a startup or a company that's been going for the first early years, the ratio between your external or your expenses in general compared to your gross profit is going to look differently compared to later on down the line when things really start moving. So one thing I did want to mention is that we are going to have the Uncommon Accountants on to talk. They're our kind of resident accountants. I've been working with them for a number of years now, so that'll be a great question. That's something that I'm always asking my accountants as well: is can I put this through? Can I put this through?
Yeah.
Especially when I first started, it was like, oh, like parking at a shopping center when I was gonna have a lunch with Mickey, my co-director of my company. It's like, surely, I felt a little bit strange paying on the business card for that, and then they've come back with, absolutely, you should be using your business card to pay for parking, and I hope you use that same business card to pay for your meal as well. And I was like, oh, okay. I should have done that. So over the years, I've definitely been learning to live through the business a lot more. But as SO mentioned as well, as the things like travel, these are integral parts to your business. So absolutely utilizing that. And again, I have to preface that with, we're not accountants, so we can't advise officially, but something like that is definitely a no-brainer. It's related to the business, and just reading my notes here as well. And yeah, I mean, it's one thing that I've learned is that it's more expensive to take money out of your business. And I know that one day I'd love to Robert to share this with everyone. I know he's done it on some of the live events as well. But if we're looking at a transaction paid for personally, you have to bear in mind the corporation tax that you've had to pay to extract that money, the income tax that you would have had to spend to extract that money, and then you're obviously paying VAT on certain things, or sales tax in some countries. If you look at the cost of something, and this is a QRG that I want to be working on in the near future, is taking a simple product like a laptop, for example, and how much does that cost if you're buying it through the business, which is completely normal to put through because of especially the nature of what we're doing, versus paying for it personally. And I did some numbers, and it is very expensive if you're paying for it personally. So I want to draw that out one day. Hopefully, it will make a bit of sense for people. But just saw in the comments as well, Collins mentioned that a call with the Uncommon Accountants would be good. Yeah, so be on the lookout for that, and have all of these questions as well, regardless of what it is. Like, travel in this case, but if there's something you're a little bit unsure of, definitely bring those questions. And if you already have an accountant.
Yeah, but are they more global or more UK, the Uncommon Accountants?
Well, they're who we use in the UK, but they also do all the work for our outside of UK sales as well. So, do you have an accountant that you work with at the moment in the Netherlands?
Yeah, but he's not an Amazon accountant. He's different.
Well,
and expensive.
The Uncommon Accountants too. What's great about them is they're very versed in Amazon. They know all kinds of stuff. So we use them, of course, for our own portfolio. We use them with private label people, right? And we're going to be bringing them on. We're going to be talking. We're going to get them regularly too, so there can be kind of a Q&A for everybody. It'll be really good. So always talking about, write down your questions. So for everybody that's watching, I know Emily's going to put some stuff out, and you're going to hear some things about it coming up soon. So definitely stay tuned to that. And the other thing I was thinking about the travel part is, and part of the reason we do this, I know Emily was just putting some I think she said she let the cat out of the bag a little bit the other day in Inside Circle about what's happening for 2025. We are talking about a very large international thing where we want everybody from around the world to come to. It's definitely a part of it. And the reason we do some of these things live is because most of what we do is very lonely. we've talked about this over and over, right? We're always on screens. We're never around each other in person. And what really happens in person is something very special. It can't be underestimated. It's hard to quantify that and what it really is. But the motivation that comes from that, we've seen it happen before. We've experienced it ourselves. So we're taking some of our own experiences and saying this is definitely the way forward. So if you can, and then I know the way that some of us, I've changed my thinking. My thinking is this: how many products do I have to add to my business that it can pay for that trip 100%? That's the question I really have, because Ollie was talking about, putting stuff through your business and making, getting the cost down. We know we can't cut our cost, cut costs to wealth. We know that. So the question then becomes, what do I need to do in the next 6 to 9 months to pay for this trip or to pay for something that I want to do through my business? Is it another product? Is it 2 products? What is it that I need to do? Because also that's going to pay for that trip in next year, but what's it going to do the year after that? Will those 1 or 2 or 3 products add? What will it do for the, It continues to come, compound in the future. And I think that's a big part of what Ollie was saying too, is early days costs are way up. But that starts to change. It gets even. And then all of a sudden the revenues really start to exceed that. So that's where we want to go with things. But it's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, it's a really good conversation. And it's one thing that we like to talk about at the events as well, just even between sessions and stuff, because it's a lot of people's first business as well. And, like I said, when I was talking about some of this stuff with the accountants early on, like, should I put a lunch through on the business? Doesn't sound right. As in, it doesn't sound right.
It doesn't feel right. Yeah.
Because we're conditioned to pay as much tax as possible.
Yeah.
So that's another question. That's another subject altogether. But I'd say my key kind of takeaway or piece of advice for this is to just keep it. Don't go overboard. So when you're traveling and your business isn't your gross profit is just building and you're just bringing in your first few products, for example, you don't pay for that upgrade in business class at that stage. You go out for lunch for a business meeting. You're not going to go to the most poshest hotel in your area, for example. So there's definitely a way to temper it, but absolutely doing a little bit of research into what can class as a business expense, but also speaking to professional advice as well. So like we said, then the uncommon accountants definitely bring a list of products or different questions as well. And I know that you're coming over for the event next month as well. So bring a massive list. That's a great opportunity. Bring a list.
On it.
Can I put this through? Can I put this through? Can I put this through? So that would be a really good opportunity. But I feel like we're not really finished as a whole in terms of this conversation. So I think maybe we need to whip something up in terms of a stream. And certainly whenever the uncommon accountants come on, we can take it to them and they can give us their advice.
Yeah, I think what I like to hear about this too is that, this means the more questions we have for the accountants means the more revenues we're bringing in, the more products we're adding, the more the more opportunity we have within inside our business. So I think it's a great question, and it's great for you to bring that to us today. So thank you for that.
Okay.
I think that was your third question. We have a couple minutes before we go. Do you have anything else that came up while you were thinking that you want to sneak in something maybe?
Yeah, I was also thinking about eventually maybe using my children to work for me and how could I pay them? But maybe it's also for the accountant to answer.
Well, I would say that is a great conversation for the accountants. I don't want to get into that directly because of the different countries. I know the way we would do it in the U.S. It's possible. You have to be specific, and you have to be very structured in what you're doing. I would imagine that's the same kind worldwide. That these types of things, they're 100% legal. It's 100% allowable, but you have to know what the rules are, and then you have to be very specific to play by those rules. Those aren't areas that you're going to want to push. You know what I mean? But you can, of course, do these things. They are options for you.
Yeah, and I think from my side, without kind of getting into the legal side of things, certainly in the UK, in fact, this is something that I was looking into recently, and I believe it's 13 is the age, because I was looking at stuff as well. I was like, when can I start paying my daughter to work for us? And I'm doing a lot of digging as well. Again, similar to the that comment I made about business class and champagne dinners and stuff like that. Like there is definitely like a smart way of doing it without ringing too many alarm bells. Because what you don't want to do is pay yourself as a director just below a certain tax bracket, and then have all of your kids at that same pay as the director. That's definitely a red flag that any government would want to come down on. So definitely kind of being a bit tactful with that sort of stuff. But again, I'm going to leave that official answer to the professionals.
Yes, very good. Well, I think these were great questions today. I appreciate you bringing them to the group. I appreciate you participating and joining and talking with the group. I hope everybody in the chat today definitely got something out of it. If you could give us a thumbs up or a yes inside the chat if you got something out of today, and if you're, if the questions that I'm trying to say, Gayatri asked were, did I say it right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I live in it.
I know. I've only known you for over, I don't know, over a year and a half, and now I'm learning, so it's going to take me a minute. But Dana says great conversation. Patricia says thank you, good question. So we're getting good stuff. Ali, you want to take us out?
Yeah, so I just want to say, Gayatri, thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Esso, I think I enjoyed this call and just the conversations around it. I feel like we've got a number of things and great content as well that we can speak around in the near future. But also thank you for everyone's engagement, and thanks for Robert for hijacking the first couple of minutes. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you all soon on another stream.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.